Hey guys, Adam here, and in this video, what I want to talk about is stacking and how you create stacking rules. And I'm going to do it the simple way, and then I'm going to do it the way I actually do it, because I think this is actually really, really important, and in making sure that you don't make mistakes. And so I'm back in Fantasy Cruncher. This is kind of where we left off in the first video, and I'm just going to crunch another 150 lineups, and you'll see as we crunch. I've got like Mitchell Trubisky here, but I've got no Pittsburgh Steeler pass catchers. And then, in some of these cases, I've got like Derek Carr with two of his pass catchers. This actually feels pretty good. Remember in NFL DFS, if you're very new to it, you almost always should stack your quarterback with a pass catcher, someone on the same team. Because if Derek Carr is a really good game, it would be very dumb of us to not think that Darren Waller or Devontae Adams in this case, because this is 2022, have a good game also. And so you want that correlation in tournaments, because if one of them has a good game, if the quarterback has a good game, most likely he's bringing along at least one pass catcher with him. And you'll see that, and this was just very random, like Joe Burrow and Tyler Boyd ended up in the same stack. This is completely random. But you'll see most lineups, Jalen Hurts doesn't have anyone from Pittsburgh. Lamar, no one from Baltimore. Derek Carr happened to have Hunter Renfrow in this one. Here's a Mariota stack with no one from Atlanta. From a general gameplay standpoint, I would not be making this lineup. If I'm happen to play Marcus Mariota, you can make a decision about whether you want to play him or not. I'm probably going to play him with like a Kyle Pitts or maybe a Drake London if he plays somebody, one of his pass catchers, right? I definitely don't want to play Mahomes without one of his pass catchers. And so it's really important that we stack. Now, is Fantasy Cruncher dumb and just not stacking for you? No. Fantasy Cruncher is doing what you told it to. So how do I tell Fantasy Cruncher to stack? Well, I'm going to show you the easy way. And then I'm going to show you the Fantasy Cruncher Pro / group way, or the hard, I call it the hard way, but it has super big dividends. And I'll show you why in a second. So in this position stacks, here it is. I'm in the advanced, again, let me just backtrack here. I went to advanced options up here, and I went to the position stacks tab. And in the position stacks tab, it's telling, I am the user telling Fantasy Cruncher what to do. I want to stack a quarterback with at least, you can change this. I'm just going to say at least one player of, you can put in your positions. So I already kind of had this pre-made, but I'll redo it for you. Wide receiver. I'm going to type in T. Oh, look, tight end. You could put running back if you wanted. I'll just keep it wide receiver and tight end for now. And from the same team, hit the add stacking rule button. And guess what? With just this one rule, if I rerun my crunch, guess what happens? I am guaranteed that every quarterback has at least one pass catcher on that team. And I can see that. I'll stop this crunch and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is another super powerful tool. I'm going to go into the quarterbacks tab here, right? I'm in quarterbacks. And you could press the magnifying glass on any player and see who all he's associated with. So you can see, first of all, if you hit the magnifying glass, you'll see, now I'm only looking at the 16 lineups that have Patrick Mahomes. Every single lineup here shows Patrick Mahomes lineups, the ones that I've crunched. And you can manually check, and I recommend doing this when you're starting out. It's like math. You need to check your work. I said I was going to stack a quarterback with one pass catcher. Did I do it? Did it work? Guess what? Every Mahomes quarterback has Juju. There's Juju. There's Patrick Mahomes with two. It just happened to have two. Remember, we said at least one, so it could have two, and it did in many cases. Every Mahomes stack. This guy's got three, right? Every Mahomes stack has at least one. Every single one of them. Pretty cool, right? This is awesome. You can look at Jalen Hurts. I pressed the magnifying glass on Jalen Hurts. Every Jalen Hurts lineup has a pass catcher from the Eagles on it. This is awesome. I am now officially stacking every lineup. But wait a second. I see something here in the Jalen Hurts that I maybe didn't want. I stacked Jalen Hurts with Quez Watkins. You know, in this case, Quez Watkins is like the wide receiver 3. And, you know, if Jalen Hurts has a big game, do I really think Quez Watkins is going to be the primary beneficiary of that? Maybe you think, yeah, it's a possibility. It's high risk, but high reward. But man, wouldn't it feel bad if you built a lineup with Jalen Hurts and he went off and then AJ Brown went off or Devontae Smith went off and this was the winning lineup with Najee and Saquon. They both went off and you would have won except for you had this silly goose as your correlation with Jalen Hurts. Blech. How do I make sure that I only stack Jalen Hurts with Eagles that I think are good? If Quez happens to show up along with Devontae Smith, that might be okay. But I want to make sure that I stack Jalen Hurts with at least one of like the stud pass catchers. In this case, I'll call stud pass catchers for Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. How about that? Just for the sake of this example, these are like the 3 primary pass catchers 2022 week 1. So how do I force that? Well, technically the rule was any pass catcher. How do I force it to pick like certain players? And this is where groups come in. So again, I'm in advanced options. And I think groups, this is the groups tab here. I feel like groups are an intermediate type thing to deal with, but it is so fundamental to how I build lineups that I think you really need to master this. I'm going to show you how to do it individually, and then I'm going to show you how to do it programmatically with fantasycruncher Pro, this thing right here. It's an amazing tool. So I'm going to call this group the Hertz stack. I hit the create new group button. I call this Hertz stack just for fun. And you can manually create a group. And so here I'm in the find player group. I type in Jalen Hurts. Boom, I press him. You can add the player to this group, or you can make him a key player. Because Jalen Hurts is the quarterback, I am going to make him a key player. Note that if I added him here and he's not a key, I can simply just press the key and now he's a key player. So the big thing is that Jalen Hurts is the key. And then what I can do here is it says if any key players are used, so if Jalen Hurts is used, then use at least one player from this group. And right now the group has nobody in it. So let's put the right people in. So I'm going to go to find team. I put find position, find team, put Philadelphia in. And now I can find the players I want. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Again, I'm not doing running backs. You could put Miles Sanders in there. I'm just not going to do that for the sake of this. So when Jalen Hurts is used, I'm not only saying I want one receiver, but I'm specific about the receiver that I want. Just for fun, I'm going to show you this. This is really cool. I'm going to remove, this is the position stack. I'm going to remove the quarterback stacking rule. And I'm going to solely rely on the Hertz stack group that I created to show you how this works. Another really cool feature, I'll use this in my examples, is if you just wanted to build Jalen Hurts stacks, you can lock in Jalen Hurts. So this lock means every lineup must have Jalen Hurts in it, which is pretty cool. And so what I'll do here is, because I'm just crunching 50 Jalen Hurts lineups, I'm going to hit, or just Jalen Hurts lineups, I'm just going to crunch 50 of them. And I'm going to press the crunch button. And you will see that obviously I pressed the lock button on Jalen Hurts. So every lineup has to have Jalen Hurts. That's why he's 100%. But you will see that every lineup, every Jalen Hurts lineup has one of AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, or Dallas Goedert. I'm curious if Dallas Goedert had a good enough projection to show up here. There he is. Boop. Jalen Hurts with Goedert. Now you can see it through in other people. Like you saw this lineup had Miles Sanders in it also. That's fine according to what we're telling it. Maybe you don't want that. We can talk about a rule for that later. But it is doing what I told it to do. Every Jalen Hurts lineup has one of the 3 stud pass catchers. And that is how you do groups. So the question is, how do I do this in mass? Do I want to really create a group for like Mahomes stack? Create new group. You know, Daniel Jones stack. Well, I mean, sure, let's play Daniel Jones stacks. Like, do I really want to do this all by myself? And the answer is not if I can be efficient. And this is where if you have fantasycruncher approach, I highly recommend you use this tool and it will do the work for you and you limit the mistakes you make. So this looks very daunting, but it is absolutely crucial, at least from how I use fantasycruncher to make it work. So I'm going to do the groups version of the single stack. So I'm going to say for every quarterback, make a group for every quarterback above 5 projected points. So not the backups who aren't projected for anything. Players to include, I'm only doing wide receiver and tight end. And from the same team, that's important. You could do opposing team. When we talk about greenbacks, you'll use the same thing to do opposing team. And if any of the key players are used, the quarterback being the key player, then use at least one player from this group. And the group is consisted of all the wide receivers and tight ends who are above 5 projected fantasy points. You can adjust this if you wanted to. I just leave it at 5. It's fine. And you can set a name for each group. And I love this. I actually do this because it's really important. For the simplistic sake, I'm going to go with this drop down and type in or select key player's name and hit add. And it shows you what it's going to look like, isn't it? It's going to look like Patrick Mahomes. Then you can also put all these groups that you created in a folder. So I'm going to call this QB stack folder. Pausing so that you have time to do this yourself. Feel free to pause the video at this point to set this up exactly this way. And then when you're done, press the auto create groups button. Check it out. I have a QB stack folder filled with every quarterback and their respective wide receivers and tight ends who have 5 or more projected fantasy points. Now, this is where you control what you want to do. For my Aaron Rodgers stack, do I really want, remember, I'm just stacking it with one player right now. Do I really want that one player to be, I don't know, Romeo Doubs? If I don't feel like I want Aaron Rodgers just with Romeo Doubs by himself, like that's not going to be a good enough stack for me. Boop, he's gone. That's it. Now you're like, man, I got to manually go in and adjust these. Yeah, but it's much better than creating the groups yourself and missing someone. This is much better because you're seeing all the possible players that are projected for more than 5 fantasy points, and you can remove the ones you don't want versus having to remember all the ones you do want. So like Mahomes, this is a great example with Mahomes. We saw it with Jalen Hurts. Mahomes is another good example. When I have a Mahomes, if I want to single stack him with one of these players, do I really want that player to be MVS? Probably not. For me, I don't want to do that. If Mahomes has a good game, my guess is it's Kelsey or Juju. Maybe Mecole. So maybe I'll do something like this. I'm okay with Mahomes and Mecole by themselves, but I definitely don't want those other two. Again, personal preference, but that's the whole point. You can decide which players are okay in the stack and which players are not. I know this was a lot to take in when you're talking about stacking, but man, it is crucial. I think it's absolutely crucial for when you're talking about stacking, using the groups and not the general rules, because it gives you control over the players that you want. So that's the end of the stacking video. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how double stacking looks, and then also making sure that you include the right players and doing what you want.